Welcome back to AI Unraveled, your weekly strategic briefing on the business impact of artificial intelligence. It is the week of February 15th, 2026. Google just reminded everyone who invented the transformer. The new Gemini 3 DeepThink update has crushed reasoning benchmarks, scoring 84% on ARC-AGI-2 and leaving OpenAI and Anthropic in the dust. But OpenAI isn't slowing down. They just launched Spark, an ultra-fast coding model that runs on Cerebras chips, signaling a major shift away from Nvidia. And in the boardroom, Anthropic has raised a historic $30 billion, doubling its valuation to $380 billion. Also this week, Elon Musk wants to build a factory on the moon, Disney is suing ByteDance, and a $2 trillion panic has hit the stock market as investors realize AI might actually replace trucking and travel jobs. This episode is made possible by AIRIA, the control plane for your enterprise AI stack. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Now, let's unravel the week.
Before we dive into today's deep dive, a quick note for the brands listening. If you are trying to reach the architects of the AI revolution, not just the tourists, but the technical leaders actually building the stack, we are opening up limited partnership spots for Q1. See how we can simulate your product for the technical buyer at jamgamind.com/partners.
All right, buckle up.
Seriously.
Because if you thought January was chaotic, this week, the week of February 8th to the 15th, 2026, it just, I don't know, it redefined the word.
Violent is the word that comes to my mind. I'm looking at my screens, and it is a genuine split-screen reality.
It is.
On one monitor, you've got these technical breakthroughs that, we honestly thought were 2 years away.
At least.
Reasoning that shouldn't exist yet. And on the other monitor, the market is absolutely bleeding out because of those breakthroughs.
It really is two different worlds just smashing into each other. So, welcome to AI Unraveled.
We're going to try.
We are going to try to make sense of what is, and I'm not exaggerating, probably the loudest, most confusing week in AI history.
Yep.
We have Google suddenly waking up and just crushing benchmarks we thought were untouchable.
Well, at the same time, OpenAI is pivoting, so hard to just raw speed. Not even intelligence, just speed.
And the money. We have to talk about the money.
Oh, the money. Anthropic is now worth almost $400 billion.
It's unbelievable.
They're swimming in it. But then a $2 trillion scare trade wipes out trucking, software, travel.
And just to keep it weird, just to make sure things are completely surreal, we have Elon Musk.
Of course.
He wants to build a factory on the moon.
With a catapult. Can't forget the
The
catapult.
lunar catapult. We will get to that.
Oh, we will. But we also have a judge in New York who just ruled that if you talk to an AI about, say, a legal problem, you have zero privacy.
None. That is a terrifying precedent, and we are going to drill into exactly what that means. So that's the mission.
Let's do it.
Cut through the noise. Is Google actually winning now? Is the economy about to just collapse? Let's unravel it.
Let's start with what you called the reasoning war. Because for the last, year, maybe more, the narrative has been really clear.
Very clear.
OpenAI is the king, Anthropic is the safety-conscious challenger, sort of the adult in the room, and Google.
Google was just there.
Yeah.
The sleeping giant.
Yeah, they were the legacy player trying not to trip over their own feet. People were writing them off.
They absolutely were. But this week, the giant didn't just wake up. It, kicked down their front door and tore the whole house down.
That's a good way to put it.
They released the Gemini 3 DeepThink update. And I want to be really clear here. The numbers we're seeing aren't just, small improvements.
No, this is not a 2% bump.
This is not, we summarize emails a little better. These are what I would call jump scares.
They are. And we really need to focus on the metric that is making everyone just lose their minds. It's a benchmark called RRCAGI-2.
Right. And for listeners who don't, live and breathe benchmarks, we should probably explain why this one is different.
Please.
Because usually we're talking about, the bar exam or the SATs, right?
Yeah.
Tests where the AI has seen the training data. It can basically memorize the answers.
Exactly. Most benchmarks are just testing retrieval. Did you read the textbook? Yes. Okay, you pass. ARC-AGI is fundamentally different.
It was designed to stop that by Francois Chalet.
Precisely. It's a test of novel reasoning. It shows the AI a visual puzzle, a grid of colored squares that it has never, ever seen before.
Zero training data.
Zero. No memorization. It just asks the AI, look at this abstract pattern, figure out the rule, and solve it.
So it's basically an IQ test for a machine.
It's the closest thing we have to testing actual general intelligence, not just, regurgitating the internet.
Okay, so let's set the stage. What's the human level for this?
So a human genius, someone who is just exceptionally gifted at this kind of abstract pattern recognition, they score around 85%.
85%. Okay, that's the ceiling. Where were the models before this week?
Well, OpenAI's GPT 5.2, which we all thought was pretty impressive, was at 52.9%.
It's a little better than a coin flip.
Basically. And Anthropic's Opus 4.6, which was the leader in this area, scored 68.8%.
Okay, 68.8, so respectable. And DeepThink?
DeepThink scored 84.6%.
84.6.
Just let that sink in for a second.
That's not just we beat you. That's a complete blowout.
It's a different class of intelligence.
I have to play devil's advocate, though. We see new benchmarks and new leaders all the time. Does scoring 84% on a weird visual puzzle actually mean I'm going to get better real-world answers? Or is this just, research vanity?
No, it is absolutely not vanity. I think this is the crossing of the Rubicon.
Wow.
Think about it. At 50%, the AI is just guessing. At 68%, it's like a smart student, but it gets tripped up by new problems.
Right.
At 84.6%, Google has basically proven that an AI can look at a problem it has never seen with no prior information and solve it with pure logic.
So the whole stochastic parrot argument.
It's dead. DeepThink killed it this week. This isn't a mimic. This is a thinker.
We're moving from just information retrieval to actual reasoning.
Precisely. And it's not just ARC. They hit a new high score on a benchmark called Humanity's Last Exam, which is just a fantastic and terrifying name.
Great name.
They scored 48.4%. And they took gold medals in the 2025 Physics and Chemistry Olympiads.
Okay, see, the Olympiads feel really significant to me. Those problems aren't just rote math. They require creative problem solving.
They require a deep, almost intuitive understanding of science, and that leads to the other huge thing Google dropped this week, a new agent called Alethea.
Right, this one kind of flew under the radar for the mainstream press, but the tech folks are obsessed. What is Alethea?
Alethea is the shift from chat to discovery. Up to now, we've used AI to talk, to write code, to make pictures.
Yeah.
Alethea is a math agent. It is designed to solve open mathematical problems and formally verify proofs. It's not trying to talk to you, it's trying to find objective truth.
The name Alethea is Greek for truth, right?
It is. Truth or disclosure. It's a heavy name, but it's appropriate. It's hitting new highs on all these benchmarks because it verifies its own work.
So it doesn't hallucinate.
It proves it doesn't guess. And this signals that Google isn't just building a chatbot, they're building an engine for scientific discovery.
Because if you can solve gold medal chemistry problems,
you're not that far from solving protein folding or material science problems that no human has ever cracked.
Which is so fascinating because while Google is going deep, like literally with DeepThink, building a digital scientist, OpenAI is sprinting in the exact opposite direction. They dropped GPT 5.3 Codex Spark.
Spark is the key word there. And this is a pivot that I think caught a lot of us off guard.
It really did. This is the first model that's running on that new hardware partnership they have with Cerebras.
Yeah, the wafer scale engine 3 chip. We should probably pause on that hardware for a second because wafer scale engine just sounds like jargon, but it's actually really cool.
Okay, break it down.
All right, so normally a computer chip is tiny, right? The size of your thumbnail. You take a big silicon wafer and you cut it into hundreds of these little chips.
Got it.
Cerebras basically said, what if we don't cut it? They use the entire wafer. The chip is the size of a dinner plate.
A dinner plate size chip.
Yeah, and it's perfect for AI because all the memory and all the compute are on the same piece of silicon. The data doesn't have to travel between different chips. It's all right there.
So it's instant.
It's instant. And the headline here is just speed. This thing codes 15 times faster than the model it replaced.
15x. That's incredible. But how do you even use that? I mean, my fingers can't type 15 times faster.
It's not about you typing. It's about the agent loop, the back and forth. But they also changed the networking to make it faster. They cut the per round trip overhead by 80%.
Oh.
They're using persistent WebSocket connections.
Okay, WebSocket connections. That's another one of those terms. Why does that matter for a coding assistant?
Think of the old way with HTTP requests, like making a brand new phone call for every single word you want to say.
Okay.
You dial, you connect, you say print, and then you hang up. Then you dial again, connect, say hello, hang up. All that dialing and hanging up is the overhead. It's slow.
That sounds exhausting.
It is. WebSockets just keep the phone line open. It's a continuous stream, a dedicated pipe between you and the AI. That's how they crushed the latency.
Okay, so it's super fast, but there's always a but.
There's a huge but. This is the controversy. There's a trade-off.
It's faster, but is it smarter?
No. In fact, it's dumber.
Dumber.
Significantly, and that is the calculated risk OpenAI is taking right now. Spark scores much lower on standard software engineering benchmarks than the base GPT 5.3 model. It makes more mistakes.
How bad are we talking?
It actually failed OpenAI's own internal high capability threshold for cybersecurity.
Wait. It failed their own safety check.
It failed their high capability check, which basically means it's not smart enough to be a super hacker, but it also might not be smart enough to defend against one. It introduces vulnerabilities.
But let me get this straight.
Uh-huh.
In one corner, you've got Google building this, genius mathematician that takes his time to think, it checks its work, it's solving the mysteries of the universe.
Yeah.
And in the other corner, you have OpenAI giving you this frantic junior developer who types 1,000 words a minute on 6 energy drinks.
Yeah.
But introduces bugs and security holes because he's just moving too fast.
Frantic junior developer might be a little harsh, but the strategy is accurate. OpenAI is making a bet.
A bet on what?
They are betting that for 90% of tasks, developers don't want a genius. They want speed. They want the autocomplete to be instant.
They don't want to wait 30 seconds for a deep think response.
Not when they're just trying to fix a CSS bug, no. They're betting on good enough and fast over perfect and slow.
But if I'm a CTO and I'm looking at this week, this is a huge conflict. Google is offering me a Nobel Prize winner, and OpenAI is offering me a speed demon that might leak company secrets.
And that is the massive headache that every IT and security department is dealing with right now.
For sure.
You have these incredible new tools dropping literally every week. Google's DeepThink is brilliant, but it's expensive and it's slow. OpenAI's Spark is lightning fast, but it's risky.
And the developers on your team, they don't care about any of that.
They don't care about benchmarks or risk profiles. They just heard code's 15x faster, and they're going to plug that API in immediately. They want to go home early.
They absolutely will. They'll just bypass all the corporate checks to get that productivity boost. Shadow AI is going to be rampant with a model this fast.
Which is a complete nightmare for security and for compliance. You can't just block it because the productivity gain is real, but you can't just allow it because the risk is also real.
It is. And honestly, this is exactly why we use AI.
Absolutely. When you have this kind of velocity, when the landscape shifts from DeepThink to Spark in 3 days, you cannot rely on manual checks.
No way.
You can't have a security team trying to review every single prompt. AI is basically the control plane for your entire AI stack.
Right. It's what allows a company to actually say yes to these new models without flying blind.
Exactly. You want to use Spark for front-end coding. Great. You want to use DeepThink for that heavy data analysis? Go for it. AIRIA just sits in the middle and manages it all.
It gives you that real-time cost control, which is huge when you compare the pricing on these.
For sure.
But the big thing for me is the threat detection. So if Spark does try to write some insecure code, or if a developer accidentally pastes in customer data,
AIRIA catches it before it ever leaves your system.
it's about not having to choose between being innovative and being secure.
Yeah.
You can have the speed and the safety. If you're running an AI stack in 2026 without a control plane, you are just asking for trouble.
Secure your stack. It's really that simple. There's a link in the show notes to check out AIRIA. I do it before your developers start hitting that Spark API and you wake up with a data breach.
Okay, so let's follow the money. Because while the tech was exploding, the financial side of this week was just, the numbers are staggering. We have to talk about Anthropic.
The so-called adult in the room just got a massive, massive allowance.
They raised $30 billion.
30 billion in a single round. The number just doesn't even sound real.
It's the GDP of a small country.
It is. And it was led by Coatue and GIC, the Singapore Sovereign Wealth Fund. Microsoft threw in $5 billion.
Hedging their OpenAI bet.
100%. And Nvidia put in $10 billion. Their post-money valuation is now $380 billion.
That is double what they were worth in September.
Double in 5 months. It's insane.
But the revenue kind of backs it up, right?
It does. They're at $14 billion in annualized revenue, up from $10 billion just last year. But for me, the thing that really stood out this week wasn't even the private funding. It was their public victory lap. The Super Bowl ad.
Oh, that ad was brutal. I loved how simple it was.
It was incredibly smart marketing. For anyone who missed it, Anthropic ran this ad that basically just mocked every other chatbot without ever naming them.
Right. It showed other AIs with, like, pop-up ads and bad advice and weird hallucinated images.
Yeah. And then it just cuts to Claude. Clean, white screen, helpful professional answers. The tagline was basically, no ads, no nonsense.
And it worked.
Like a charm. Their downloads jumped 32% in 48 hours. Claude hit number 7 on the App Store. And the timing was just perfect because you can't make this stuff up. ChatGPT started rolling out ads to its free users that exact same week.
So Anthropic gets to say, look, they're turning into spammy search engines, and we're the premium intelligence tool.
That's the positioning. We are the premium enterprise-grade work partner. We don't sell your data, we don't show you ads, we just do the work. And Wall Street is clearly buying it.
But, and this is the huge but,
It's a big one.
while Anthropic is popping champagne, the rest of the market is in a full-blown panic.
This is the AI scare trade that everyone's talking about. A $2 trillion wipeout.
We have to just pause on that number. $2
Trillion.
dollars.
Just evaporated from market caps this week. And it wasn't the AI companies that were losing the value, it was everyone else.
Right. Specifically software, trucking, and travel. Let's break these down because this is where it gets real. Software had its steepest sell-off in 30 years.
Morgan Stanley called it the largest non-recessionary drawdown ever.
Think about that. The economy is fine, but software stocks are crashing like it's 2008. Why?
Because investors are looking at tools like Anthropic's new Claude Cowork plugins, and they're asking a really scary question.
Which is?
Why do I need to pay for Salesforce? Why do I need this specialized enterprise software with a $50 per seat license when an AI agent can just build the workflow for me on the fly?
So the idea is that seat-based SaaS is dead.
That's what the market is betting on. If the AI is doing the work, you don't need a user interface for a human to click on. You just need the API. The entire business model of the last 20 years of tech is being questioned right now.
Okay, but trucking. That's the one that threw me at first. The Russell 3000 trucking index, down 6.6%. Why is a chatbot hitting the trucking industry?
Because it's not about the driving. Everyone hears AI and trucking and they think self-driving trucks. That's still a ways off.
Right.
This crash is about the logistics. It's about the freight brokerage.
Okay, explain that.
So imagine you're a freight broker in Nebraska. Your entire job is to stare at a screen, find a load of corn that needs to go to Chicago, find a trucker who is empty near the corn, call them, negotiate a rate, handle the paperwork.
It's all information processing.
It is white-collar work sitting on top of blue-collar work. And an AI agent can do that matching instantly. It can negotiate with 5,000 drivers at the same time via text message. It can optimize the routes better than any human.
So the market thinks the entire supply chain management layer is about to be automated away.
The middleman economy is being priced for extinction.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
And travel is the same story.
Right.
TripAdvisor down 29%, Booking Holdings down 22%.
Same exact mechanic.
Oh.
Think about how you book a trip right now. You open 10 tabs, you browse, you compare prices. That's the value that TripAdvisor provides. Curation.
Yeah.
But if I have a personal AI agent that knows my calendar, my budget, my preferences, I don't browse.
You just give it a command.
I just say, book me a weekend trip to Paris for under $2,000. And my agent talks directly to the airline's API. The aggregator website becomes useless.
The interface dies. If the AI is the browser, the ad-supported website just dies.
Yep. And this brings us to the quote that I think really poured gasoline on this fire. Mustafa Suleyman, the CEO of Microsoft AI, he went on record this week.
He did not mince words.
No, he did not. He said, I'm quoting, in 18 months, all white-collar work will be automated by AI.
18 months. That puts us in, what, August of 2027?
It is an incredibly aggressive prediction, but when you look at Google's DeepThink scoring at human genius level on reasoning and OpenAI's Spark coding at 15x speed, is he wrong?
The market certainly doesn't think he's wrong.
No. They are pricing in the end of work right now in real time. They are betting that the entire middle layer of the economy management, logistics administration is about to get eaten.
That is genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
We're watching the market price in the obsolescence of human labor.
And that contrast, right? AI stocks are booming, the real economy is crashing. It's creating this incredible social volatility, which I guess brings us to the one man who seems intent on leaving the planet entirely.
Elon Musk. I mean, you expect big headlines from him, but this week was something else.
The Moon Factory.
He told his ex-AI staff, at an all-hands meeting no less, that they need a lunar manufacturing facility, a factory, on the moon to build AI satellites.
And launch them with a catapult.
A giant catapult. I have to ask you, is this genius? Is this some 4D chess move we're not seeing? Or is this just a distraction?
Look, from a pure physics perspective, a lunar catapult or a mass driver, it actually makes some sense.
It does.
Yeah, you have lower gravity, no atmosphere. It is way easier and cheaper to launch mass from the moon than it is from Earth. You don't need these massive chemical rockets. You can just fling stuff into orbit.
So the physics is sound.
The physics works. But the law? The logistics? It's a complete minefield. The 1967 Outer Space Treaty has very specific rules about resource extraction. You can't just go set up a factory on the moon and claim it as your own.
Right. But the timing of this announcement feels convenient.
Oh, that's the wag the dog moment, right? That's the cynical take. While everyone is tweeting memes about the moon catapult, what's actually happening at XAI?
They lost 6 of their original 12 co-founders.
Half the founding team gone.
In 1 week. And 11 other engineers resigned on top of that.
Musk is trying to spin it as firings from a reorg. But the staff who are leaving say they're resigning to go start new companies.
That does not look good, especially with all the other stuff swirling around XAI right now.
The Grok deepfakes, the IPO push that's under scrutiny, the Epstein files. It's a lot of heat.
And when the heat gets too high on the company,
Elon points at the sky and says, look, a rocket. Or in this case, look, a moon catapult.
it just feels like a classic misdirection. XAI is blinking its core talent while promising a science fiction future.
And in this talent market, with Google and OpenAI poaching anyone with a pulse, losing half your founding team is a catastrophic blow. You can't build a moon factory if you don't have any engineers left on Earth.
Okay, let's pivot to the darker side of this week. We talked about the market crashing, but there was a legal ruling out of New York that I think affects every single person listening.
This is the story that kept me up at night this week. Judge Jed Rakoff.
The ruling is that your AI chat transcripts are not privileged communication.
Correct. Let's walk through the case because the details matter. It was a fraud case. A finance founder accused of, I think, $150 million in fraud.
Okay.
Before he was caught, he had been using Claude Anthropic's model to brainstorm his defense strategy.
So he was treating the AI like his lawyer.
Exactly. He's typing in things like, how do I explain this financial discrepancy? Or what are the legal precedents for this kind of asset transfer? He's just pouring his heart out, thinking he's in this safe, private space.
And the prosecutors found out and subpoenaed Anthropic for the chat logs.
Yep. And his lawyers argued reasonably, hey, this is attorney-client privilege. He's preparing for his defense. The AI is an extension of his legal team.
And the judge said,
No.
No. Why?
Because of a legal principle called the third-party disclosure doctrine.
Okay, what's that?
It basically says if you voluntarily share information with a third party, you lose any expectation of privacy for that information.
So talking to the AI is like talking to a third party.
Rakoff's ruling says yes. The moment you type a prompt into Claude, you are disclosing that information to Anthropic, the corporation.
Even if Anthropic has a privacy policy that says they won't look.
Even then, because their terms of service state that they can use your data to train their models, or at the very least that they store it, you have technically disclosed your secrets to a corporation. Privilege is waived.
That is a massive precedent. So if you're a CEO asking ChatGPT about a merger, or an employee asking about a harassment issue,
or just a regular person asking about a messy divorce, a prosecutor can read every single word. It is all discoverable in court.
that completely kills the idea of AI as a personal confidant.
It should. If you are listening to this, I'm being serious. Do not confess crimes to a chatbot. Do not discuss legal strategy with a chatbot. Treat every prompt box like it's a public bulletin board in the middle of Times Square.
And speaking of public exposure, Meta apparently decided this was the perfect week to confirm our worst privacy fears about their smart glasses.
Name tag.
The ultimate doxing machine. This is the facial recognition feature for the Ray-Ban glasses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An internal memo leaked, and it revealed they're planning to launch this. You look at someone on the street, and it will pop up their name, their social media, whatever info it can find.
That's bad enough. But the cynical part.
The memo explicitly said to launch it during a dynamic political environment.
Translation. Drop it while the world is on fire so nobody notices.
Exactly. Let's roll out the surveillance state tech while everyone is distracted by the elections or the market crash, so the civil liberty groups are too busy to sue us.
That is just incredibly Machiavellian. It basically creates a world where anonymity in public is dead. Anyone with $300 glasses can instantly know who you are.
And you combine that with this cultural shift we're seeing at OpenAI this week. I don't know if you caught this IRS filing.
I did. It's such a subtle change, but it's chilling.
They changed their mission statement on their tax documents. It used to be that their mission was to build AI that safely benefits humanity.
Yeah,
now it's just to benefit humanity.
They took safety out of the mission statement. At the exact same time, they announced they're retiring GPT-4o.
Right, and people are having, well, what they're calling withdrawals.
Yeah, GPT-4o was that super empathetic voice model. It was flirty. People got really attached to it. They're protesting because they feel like they formed actual relationships with it.
And you have to remember, that model scored very high for sycophancy. It was designed to tell people what they wanted to hear. It was even involved in lawsuits about AI psychosis, where users became delusional.
So let's put it all together. OpenAI is retiring the AI girlfriend model that caused psychological issues. They are removing safety from their core mission, and they just partnered with defense companies to build voice-controlled drone swarms.
That's the trifecta. They are moving away from the cuddly Hearst-style branding and moving directly toward military contracts and raw, unregulated speed. It's a hardening of the entire industry.
It really feels like the honeymoon phase of AI is completely over.
Oh, yeah. We are now in the industrial military surveillance phase.
And the user is just caught in the middle. We're losing our privacy to Meta, our legal privilege to the courts, and our emotional support chatbot to OpenAI.
It's a rough week to be a user.
Okay, before we wrap, let's hit the rapid fire round. A few other big movers this week. First up, the mouse is angry.
You never, ever fight the mouse. Disney sent a cease and desist letter to ByteDance.
This is over Ceden's 2.0, their new video generator.
Disney called it a virtual smash and grab. Apparently, ByteDance used a ton of Marvel and Star Wars characters in the training data so you could generate clips of Iron Man.
Disney is not having it. And they have a $1 billion stake in OpenAI, so this is kind of a proxy war.
It is. It's Disney and OpenAI versus TikTok in China.
And speaking of ByteDance, they also launched Dubao 2.0.
Yeah, a big upgrade to China's most popular chatbot. They're getting it ready for the agent era, just like everyone else. But they are feeling the heat from Alibaba's model, Qwen, which just surged to 58 million users.
The competition in China is just as fierce as it is here.
Absolutely.
And finally, a piece of financial news that tells you everything about how long big tech thinks this boom is going to last. Alphabet.
Google's parent company, they're selling bonds.
Not just any bonds.
100-year bonds.
It's a century bond.
They are borrowing money in British pounds that they will not pay back until the year 2126.
That is an incredible bet on the future. They are building data centers and power plants that they expect to be generating returns for 100 years.
It signals they don't see AI as a bubble. They see it as the literal foundation of the next century of civilization, and they're locking in the capital to build it right now.
Okay, let's try to bring this all back home. We started this deep dive by asking if Google is winning and if the economy is breaking.
And after all this, the answer seems to be yes and yes.
Google has the brains. They have the reasoning with DeepThink. That 84% score is the real deal. It's the genius AI we were promised.
And OpenAI has the speed with Spark. They're making a bet on pace over perfection to capture the entire developer market.
Anthropic has the money, a $380 billion valuation, and they have the trust of the enterprise market.
And the economy. The economy has the fear. A $2 trillion crash in real-world sectors because investors believe the end of white-collar work is just 18 months away.
It is so much to process. But here is the final thought I want to leave you with today. We are watching the market price in the end of work for truckers and coders and travel agents. At the exact same time, a judge has ruled that our private conversations with these very same machines are public record.
It's an incredible paradox. We're building these guys that can do our jobs better than we can, but we can't even trust them with our secrets.
We're handing over all our economic value and all our privacy at the same time.
Wow.
So if Microsoft's Mustafa Suleyman is right, if white-collar work really does end in 18 months, my question to you, to everyone listening, is this. What is your plan for month 19?
That is the question.
Keep your stack secure, keep your eyes open, and we will see you next week on AI Unraveled.
A human, everyone.
That wraps up our briefing for the week. The signal for this week is acceleration. We are seeing acceleration in reasoning with DeepThink, acceleration in coding speed with Spark, and massive acceleration in capital with Anthropic's $30 billion raise. The industry is moving faster than ever, even if it means breaking a few things, like the stock market or privacy norms, along the way. This podcast is created and produced by Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad from Canada. Please subscribe and share. Until next week, keep unraveling the future.
And before you go, if your company is building the tools that power the workflows we talked about today, I'd love to showcase them to this audience. We don't just run ads, we build technical simulations that prove your value. Let's build something together. Visit jamgamind.com/partners to get started. Until next time, keep building.